"What do you think?" he asked one day. "Which game of mine do I like best?" You'll probably say one of the ones with Botvinnik or Keres or Rashevsky. Blunder. With Gerasimov. I was 14 and it was my first published game. My father was very proud of it. He played through it himself and showed it to his friends. Look at the combination my Vasya came up with. Even Misha Tal liked the attack in that game. Misha said you can see a huge talent just from that one game. Ah, Misha. A year before his death he was at my home and we played Blitz for about 3 hours straight. In my youth I was a strong Blitz player and I liked to fool with it for my sins. So Misha won all the games we played. Every one of them. And his heart was barely beating. Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and in this video I want to share with you that same game which the 7th world chess champion Vasily Smyslov played at the age of 14 and which he considered his best game. In this game Smyslov is on the black side and his opponent is a chess player whose second name is Gerasimov. The game was played in 1935 in Moscow. Gerasimov opened up with d4, to which Smyslov responded with d5, knight f3, knight f6, e3, e6, bishop d3, c5, b3, knight c6, bishop b2, bishop d6, and white castled kingside. So Gerasimov set up the Kh1 system, but the pure Kh1 system is then white is playing knight d2 followed by rook e1 and is bringing into life this e4 idea. Instead, in our game, after castling kingside, black played queen c7 and white chose a different strategy, played a3 and then went for c4. By the way, at this point usually black is refraining from playing queen c7 and is usually castling kingside in order to maintain the possibility of playing queen e7 as well, preparing e5. Instead, in our game, after castling kingside, we see queen c7, a3 b6. Well, in here, if you castle kingside, then after d takes c5, bishop takes c5, white has this bishop takes f6 move, damaging black's pawn structure on the kingside. That's why after a3, we see b6, c4. Well, at this point, if you capture on f6, then this is allowing black to open up the g file and white can face serious problems. Black can even castle queenside. Instead, in our game, after b6, we see c4, sharpening the situation in the center of the board further. Bishop b7, knight c3, knight b5 is the threat, a6, rook e1. Well, instead, c takes d5 is actually stronger. If e takes d5, then d takes c5, and then knight a4 followed by rook c1. Instead, after a6, we see rook e1, c takes d4, e takes d4, and finally Smyslov castled kingside, knight a4, bishop f4, and knight e5. A bit strange looking move. Instead, it was better to play c5, and if b5, then knight b6. On the square, white knight feels great. Instead, to bishop f4, white answered with knight e5. Here we see d takes c4, and after b takes c4, Smyslov went for the exchange of knights on e5. The knight on f6 is now hanging, but Smyslov first played queen c6, threatening checkmate in 1. Bishop f1, which is too passive. Instead of playing bishop f1, it was better to neutralize the threat by playing f3. If knight g4, then queen c2, hitting both on h7, also covering the g2 square, and already f takes g4 can be a nice threat, and if knight e3, then queen b3. Instead, in our game, after queen c6, we see this passive looking bishop f1 move. Here comes rook d8 and queen b3. Another mistake. At this point, it was better to offer the exchange of queens. Yes, in this case, white can prolong his resistance. This is of course a better line. Black has a slight advantage, but of course this is a better line than the one which we see in our game. In our game, after rook d8, white played queen b3, and there comes the knight g4, h3, but this is already a terrible mistake and is tapping into a brilliant combination. f3 is better. If knight takes h2, then rook e4. If bishop g3, then rook d4. But instead, in our game, after knight g4, we see h3, and as we have reached the critical position, please pause the video and try to find black's next move. Ready? Well, on the surface it may seem that white managed to neutralize black's attack, but everything is not so easy, and Vasily Smyslov found a brilliant attacking resource, and this time he played rook d3. Look at this beautiful rook sacrifice, guys. One of the wildest moves you can see in Smyslov's career. How do you like this beauty? At this point you can't capture on d3 with the bishop because the bishop should guard the g2 square, and if a move like queen takes d3, then this time bishop h2 check can follow, and then knight f2 royal fork can appear on the board. That's why after rook d3 white played queen takes b6, but with this impressive rook d3 move Smyslov had already managed to activate his rook, and there comes rook takes h3. Again, black is relying on the vulnerability of the long diagonal, the rook is untouchable, and if a move like queen takes c6, then this time bishop h2 check can follow, and then black can announce a checkmate. That's why after rook takes h3 we see bishop d4. White is covering the f2 square, but anyways, here comes bishop h2 check, and now Smyslov will make use of the windmill tactic. King h1, bishop takes e5, discovered check, after which Gerasimov resigned. Now if king g1, then black can announce another check from h2, and if king h1, then bishop c7 check, and white is losing his queen. That's why after bishop takes e5 check, Gerasimov resigned. A very impressive combination, which started with that brilliant rook d3 sacrifice. As Smyslov wrote, this was his first tournament game to be published in the magazine 64. In the end, a chess puzzle for you where the task is to find the winning line for white. It's white to move, and I will wait for your answers in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Here are more suggestions for you. Feel free to check them out as well. I will see you in my next video. Take care.